Simucube unveiled their highly anticipated and much vaunted ActivePedals just in time for Christmas of 2022, and for more than 2 years they sat there at the top of the sim racing tree utterly unchallenged, until March of 2025 that is. That's when Moza Racing turned up, kicked the door in and said, "We'll have some of that thanks." The sim racing world oohed that Moza had taken a swing at Simucube, but the question was, did they hit or had they missed? I found myself in a position to answer that when 3 months ago an enormous cardboard box appeared on my doorstep. It was from Moza Racing, and inside was a set of pedals, the CRP2 throttle and the mBooster brake. So here's my honest review after several months of using them as my daily driver. Now, to be clear, Moza did send me these. I didn't hand over any money, but this is not a sponsored video, and they don't get to see what I say before you do, which frankly is just as well, because if these pedals had been absolute rubbish, I would be saying so, and I'd have sold them on Facebook Marketplace. But here's the thing, they're not rubbish. They're actually the best pedals I own, and I own more than is strictly necessary or healthy. So what exactly is the mBooster? Well, the first thing that hits you when you take it out of the box is just how absolutely enormous it is. Honestly, it's like attaching one of the Easter Island heads to your pedal plate. In fact, Moza even had to add an extension to their standard CRP2 plate just to fit it on, and if you are upgrading from that, they'll charge you $40 for the pleasure. The build quality is high. It weighs in at a reassuringly heavy 11 pounds or 5 kilos for the rest of the world, and there's a good mix of high-strength steel for the base plate and aviation-grade aluminium within the housing capable of handling millions of cycles. The finish is plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap. Aesthetically, they're okay. I doubt even their own mother would describe them as beautiful, but they do have a certain brutalist charm, especially if you're a big fan of spent mortar rounds. But let's be real here, we don't, or at least we shouldn't, make our pedal buying decisions based on looks alone. So let's get under the hood and see what makes the mBooster stand out. In short, it's not just a pedal with a spring and a load cell like every other set you've used. It's an active pedal, which means hidden inside there's a small-ish, but extremely excitable motor practicing mixed martial arts against your foot. On paper it's all very serious, a 21-bit magnetic encoder, dual 200 kilo load cells with enhanced pedal feel, detecting up to 400 kilos of force for pinpoint accuracy. Apparently they were worried about missing out on strongmen entrants with that feature. It's also got one-click configurable force profiles and ergonomic design, with a pedal surface featuring a biometric curve aimed at conforming to the arch of your foot, all the sorts of things you'd expect a German car brochure to bang on about. But what it feels like is important, and it feels like there's a tiny overworked engineer trapped inside your pedal, armed with a cattle prod and muttering, "Ease off, sunshine, unless you fancy meeting Jesus at turn 1. It's the difference between watching a cooking show and being set on fire by Gordon Ramsay, and that's the reason why I love it. When you first plug it in and hit calibrate, the pedal actually moves by itself, which for the first few seconds is terrifying, because it looks as though the ghost of racing past has decided to have a go in your rig. I was half expecting Fangio muttering swear words in Spanish under my desk as the calibration test wore on. In practice, the Pithouse software means you can do something magical. You can adjust the pedal travel, the weight and the feel at the click of a button. No spanners, no swearing, no lost springs under the sofa or behind the cat. 1 or 2 clicks in the software, that's all you need. For some this may take away the joy of tinkering on their rig, but for me it's absolutely glorious. The Moza Pithouse software is one of the better ones out there, and that's where the magic happens. After you've calibrated your pedals, you can set the pedal force curves, change the maximum weight of the pedals, set the initial start point at the perfect weight of your foot so you're never going to accidentally break down hanger straight again. You're able to change the pedal travel and the amount of damping you feel. You can adjust the friction and end stop feeling when you hit the limit. But the best part is that each of these can be saved as profiles, so with just one click as you jump out of a GT3 and into an F1 car, you can go from feeling long and soft to feeling short and hard. If you don't like making your own profiles, you can download and apply official pre-built profiles from genuine pros and real-life racers, or people such as myself. I will actually be doing a short video on my own pit house settings in the next week or so if you're remotely interested in that. But the effect tab is where the mBooster comes into its own. If you're driving a formula car and you want the pedal to vibrate as soon as the wheels start losing traction, or just when you hit 80%, click. Done. Driving a GT car and want the same real-life brake jitter when the ABS kicks in. Completed it, mate. And here's the thing most people don't realize. The mBooster doesn't have to just be a brake. If you've got the money and a slightly masochistic streak, you can bolt one on as your throttle as well, and suddenly you can tie traction control directly to the pedal feel. The harder the car systems are working, the more the pedal will fight back, which means you can change how the throttle feels between cars or even between sessions just at the click of a mouse. It's like having your last slice of cake, eating it, and then discovering another slice you'd forgotten about. Only this slice of cake shouts at your ankles every time you floor it. So what's the mBooster like to use in practice? Well, put simply, it transforms threshold braking. Normally you're pressing against a spring or an elastomer, building up muscle memory and praying your brain can remember what 52% brake pressure feels like as you approach a scari. With the mBooster, you no longer need to guess. It will physically push back against you when you hit the predefined limit. It's like having a driving instructor living inside the brake pedal, only it's one that's less shouty, less likely to be on a register, and doesn't smell faintly of cigarettes. During long stints, the mBooster stays remarkably consistent. Yes, the motor hums faintly at idle, 40 decibels there or thereabouts. It's about as loud as a bored refrigerator, but unless you're a monk meditating in your rig, you'll never notice. And frankly, if you are a monk, you'll have probably taken a vow of poverty anyway, in which case these really aren't the pedals for you. The Simucube pedals will be the way to go, because they'll certainly help reduce your bank balance. Right, let's put the Moza pedals into context against the rest of the load cell marketplace. At the more cost-efficient end, we have the Thrustmaster T-LCMs, around $270 for a full set, and they are great as a first load cell, but going back to them now feels like trying to play a grand piano on a Fisher-Price keyboard. Up after that, we have the Fanatec CSL Club Sports, $300 to $500 for a full set. It is a step up, but it is still mechanical. It's like upgrading from a Ford Focus to a Ford Focus with leather seats. After that, we have the Simagic P2000s or the Heichsfeld Sprints, $800 to $1,000. They're solid, reliable, they're very good. I loved my P2000s. I added in the haptic kit when they became available, and they're the ones I used to rate highly, but they're still only telling you what's happened, and they're no longer bolted to my rig for a reason. The Moza CRP2 with mBooster costs around $1,000 for a working set with a throttle, or $800 if you want the mBooster pedal by itself. And this is where things get interested, because you're getting an active pedal, not just vibrations bolted on, but a proper motor-driven resistance and ABS feedback. It feels alive. Now we have the Simucube ActivePedals, around $2,500 to $3,500. These are the gods of sim racing pedals. They can simulate everything: clutch bite points, ABS, traction control, you name it. They're astonishing, and they are astonishingly expensive. They cost more than a house in Leeds. So the Moza sits right in the middle, 30 to 40% of the price of the Simucube, but in all honesty, you're getting around 80 to 90% of the experience, which in value terms is extraordinary and would be the one I go for. Unless, of course, you're a Bitcoin millionaire or a long-lost uncle has just bequeathed you 15 million quid, and money no longer has any meaning whatsoever, in which case buy the Simucube, have it gold-plated whilst you're at it, or better yet, find out if your butler is any good at sim racing and get him to qualify for you, or employ Lance Stroll. On second thoughts, you're probably better off with the butler, or a maid, or a dog. Now, one quick note before we wrap up here: if you are thinking of buying these pedals and my review has tipped you over the edge, I do have an affiliate link in the description, and it does massively help the channel, but this is an honest review. I've turned down plenty of companies who wanted me to push their gear, and I said no because they weren't good enough. These are. So after 3 months, what do I genuinely feel about the mBooster? Well, I think these are the best pedal that I own. They've made me more consistent, more confident under braking, and very slightly more smug when I nail a corner. They're not perfect, they are quite big, they do hum very slightly, and they might make you look at your bank balance with a mild tinge of regret. But in the end, they deliver something no other pedal at this price point can. Realism. They do fight back, they teach you, they make sim racing feel very slightly less like a video game and more like the real thing. And honestly, that's priceless. I've been Sambo iRacing, and I'll see you again next week. Cheers.